in this
Okay,
session,
so we have a comment that says
resilience.
resilience. We have a comment that says resilience. I push through. Yeah.
okay. All right then. Thank you.
Before then, I think somebody dropped joyful. So
okay, that's good. Joyful resilience. These are things that speak to our mental health, right? It pushes us to do more. So in this session, we will be talking about mental health, right? We'll be talking about factors that affect mental health. We'll talk about the mental health literacy and a pyramid that also buttresses the mental health literacy. We will also be talking about the silent battles that affect us all as individuals and as business owners, right? We will speak through the guides that we can use to recognize warning signs, mitigating measures for having a resilient mind. We will be talking through strategies for building mental health, tools and techniques for a very good mental health, and reasons why we should seek professionals where needed. And if possible, based on how interactive this session continues to be, and if time permits, we'll have like a mindfulness session before we take questions and answers. Okay, so what is mental health? Is it a state of mind? I'm hoping people are now interested in participating. I have a quick question. Do you think it is a state of mind? Put in the comments section. Do you think it is a state of mind, or do you think it's more than a state of mind, or do you think it's just a state of mind? We'll just take less than a minute.
Okay, so I think we have someone put something down. Ife Obioma says, my name is Ife. I'm a marketing and communications person. My word for mental health is in association with balance. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Ife. Anybody answer the question of whether or not we think mental health is a state of mind?
Tope Oluwadare says it is more than a state of mind.
All right. Okay. Just
I also agree with that. More than a state of mind.
All right, great. Few more seconds. Anybody else before we move on?
Okay, right. Olukemi says it is more than a state of mind. Divine also says it is more than a state of mind. So I guess everyone agrees that it is more than a state of mind.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll go straight. Mental health is a positive concept, right? I've seen skits where people are asked, oh, how is your mental health? And then you hear, God forbid, I don't have mental health. So there's the need for awareness, and that's why we're here. So mental health is a positive concept, right? It encompasses our emotions, our psyche, and our way of interacting with one another. Taking care of our mental health is very important for us as individuals, for our overall well-being. It also involves understanding and managing our emotions, as well as paying attention to our thoughts and behaviors. Our mental health affects how we see the world around us, right? And it's how we interact between one another in our community, in our workplaces and meetings, and in every situations that we find ourselves. When we take care of our mental health, we build resilience, we handle challenges better, and we nurture meaningful relationship. It's relationship that has brought us here, you and I here, to be able to speak to the topic today. So prioritizing our mental health is a powerful way to improve our everyday life. Now we'll talk about the factors that affect mental health. for those of us who struggle with our mental health, right, understanding what is behind the particular struggle, right, can be a bit complex. There are so many factors that have impacted our mental health, including biological, social, genetics, family history, our, childhood experiences, and the situations goes on and on. And even the societal issues, violence, discrimination, poverty, and so on and so forth, and how all these factors affect us in general over a long period of time. While some of these factors can be easily changed or addressed, right? Genetics predisposition towards mental health issues, it helps us to understand underlying issues that contribute to challenges we face. Those underlying issues within our control may not be within our control. However, it is helpful to understand them and see how they play an active role to our mental health. Let's talk about the nature and nurture argument, right? There has been a conversation around whether or not mental health is shaped by our genetics or our biology and our experiences, right? Our biology and family history, they play a very vital role on our mental health over the period of time, all through our life, right? The upbringing I have is different from the upbringing Yemisi has, is different from the upbringing Fumilayo has. So people are genetically predisposed to mental health conditions like depression and anxiety. However, if someone in our family has been struggling with one or more mental health challenges, right, the likelihood that we struggle within the family, one or two people struggle within the family is possible because of our genetics. Family history isn't just about genetics, although our family is the model of which we are able to handle stress, right? If we're from a family whereby we do not talk about struggles that we go through, there's a possibility that people will break burnout because they never saw their mom talk through, oh, I'm a bit down or something. So that ability not to speak up is within us, and this has been shaped because of the way we've been situated in our family. Watching how people close to us avoid emotions and emotional exchange in situations where they should react, right, also affects us, whether consciously or consciously. We also have social impact. That's the social environment, right? Nature goes beyond just our family. It includes all aspects of our societal environment and where we live, our upbringing, our schools, our friends, the friends we grew up with, how we stayed connected to them. From stressors in our everyday lives to the major societal issues, right? We watch the news, we see how things go within our upbringing, all our school situations, however we were brought up in our foundation also shapes or mars our mental health. So basically, social environment is about our upbringing and life experience because it significantly affects how our mental health is. A nurturing environment can promote a good mental health, whilst the alternative may increase our risk to mental health challenges. Now we'll talk about the psychological impact. Stress is more than just a part of our life. It also takes a toll on our life if it is chronic. Our ability to respond to challenges in our daily life is influenced by people around us and the support network we're able to have, right? So research also shows that there's a strong network between the way we handle stress and the way we react to stress. So, like we all said, it is more than a state of mind. It is a way of life. It transcends from mere thoughts and emotions, encompassing the very essence of who we are. So we could say yes, but it surpasses our mind. It is a state of our heart and our soul, better known as holistic well-being. It is the foundation of how we build our dreams, that fuels or ignites our passion, right? It's that light that helps us during dark moments. So we should ensure that we embrace it, we nurture it, and do everything for it not to be affected. So just a quick statistics, right? 1 in 4 adults, according to the World Health Organization, are affected by mental illness. So in other words, right, if you see this picture, there are 4 people, which means that 1 out of these 4 is struggling with some form of mental health challenges. It is essential that we take note of those surrounding factors that affect our mental health, right? And seek support from mental health professionals, do practices that help with our self-care, right? And we can also reach out to our families and friends at work. I'm sure one of us, there's one person we can always go to, one person that makes you smile even when you're having a bad day. And we should also remember that mental illness, right, is irrespective of age, is irrespective of class, status, position, whatsoever, right? So never think that you're alone. There's help for every one of us, right? And that is why we need to take care of our mental health. So let's dive into mental health literacy. As business owners, right, the demand for running an organization can be consuming, right, draining, and also affect our mental well-being. However, neglecting our mental health has severe consequences, not only on our resilience, but also on the success and sustainability of our business. That is why mental health literacy comes into play. It is the ability to understand, recognize, and manage mental health concerns. Mental health literacy encompasses knowledge and understanding of mental health disorders, their symptoms and risk factors, and also treatment options. It includes being able to recognize signs of distress in oneself or others, as well as knowing how to seek help or provide support in crucial times as leaders, as decision makers, right? Mental health is vital on our performance, on our decision making, and our ability to effectively communicate during work. So work-life balance also involves prioritizing our physical, emotional, and societal well-being amongst those we work with, those who we are responsible for. Mental health and a balanced lifestyle is interconnected, is interwoven, right? As our mental health and well-being has a significant influence on our overall well-being. Business owners also face challenges in numerous ways. So we will be looking at that in the next slide. So this is the mental health pyramid. Understanding the term mental health distress, and mental health illnesses. So from the bottom of the pyramid, we can see that there are 4 states where everyone, you and I, fall within the pyramid, with more people at the bottom and less people at the top. That's just what differentiates us, right? So at the bottom level, we can see the no mental stress, problems, illness, or disorder, right? We fall in this category when we are healthy and have normal functioning. Most of us in this state, right, we're happy, we have friends and families, we have people we can go to, we engage in our school, we engage very well at work, we have workplaces that say, oh, it's home away from home, everyone is happy, you're happy doing what you're doing, you're happy, you have a very healthy lifestyle, you enjoy recreational activities, you reflect on your day at the end of this day, you reflect on your day, you have someone you can speak to that, or someone that would ask, oh, how was your day? And you would narrate how your day was. In fact, you have a very healthy way of sleeping, right? So in this section, you're able to cope with whatever comes your way, right? You're able to do things at the pace that you should, and how you need to. You thinking back the wellness wheel, right? This is the state where we have a balanced lifestyle. Everything is going well, everything is enjoyable. We spend time with our friends. So you might be thinking, what is the wellness wheel, right? The wellness wheel is a 4-dimension wellness model, which speaks to spiritual, emotional, intellect, physical, societal, environmental, financial, and occupational well-being, right? It is like a well-being tool that you can self-explore to see where you fit and to rate your wellness, whether or not you're satisfied or you're not satisfied, and have a percentage on where you fall. So in the next on the pyramid is the mental distress, right? It's a common and reversible distress. So this is where things are not going so well, right? They can irritate us, things we can worry about. So maybe there's a situation where you needed to do a presentation, you're worried, just like how I'm presenting today. I'm worried, oh, how would I perform? Would I perform good? Will people listen? Will people participate? So at that state, you're in a distressful situation where our brain is signaling to us that, oh, we need to respond. This is where the flight or fight mode comes up. However, the stress response helps us to be resilient and adapt with the situation. So it's just a momentary distress, and it is normal. It is expected, right? It is. So take, for instance, maybe you're going for an interview. I'm sure everyone has done some form of interview at one stage or the other, right? Nobody was born to be a business owner. Or writing examination when we were children, or even arguing with your friends, right? You don't like the situation. You don't know how that argument will end. However, you do it, right? However it ends, you take it in, right? Or if it's a situation where you failed an exam, it's a distress. So when you have to take the exam, that fear of, oh, am I going to pass? I'm not going to pass is a state of mental health distress. So we go to the next one where we talk about mental problem, right? It's more like a significant functional impediment, right? It's the third level at the pyramid scheme, where it involves more deeper situations. So a loss of a friend or a parent, or your parents getting divorced, or even if it's you getting a divorce, right? It has a toll on your mental well-being, or even the anxiety of moving to a new country, right? A lot of people don't go through that until they move to the country, where you have what they call it, cultural shock. It's a form of mental problem, right? However, it doesn't take so much toll on us. It's within a period, and it could fizzle out, right? It is a reaction where a huge life changes happens to us, right? Something that we weren't expecting or suddenly comes to us, right? It can be prolonged and it can be short. However, within difficult times, we can always seek support from our friends, talk to whoever that we resonate with, or even reach out to an external person just to have a different perspective, right? In such situations. So the last one now is mental illness and disorder, right? It is that severe side where it is a persistent functional impairment. So at the top of the pyramid, we'll see it in pink, right, where it includes clinical diagnoses such as clinical depression, clinical anxiety, bipolar, OCD, right? It is very different from mental health problem. It distorts our brain function, right? It is where our brain function feels distorted, right? And this can only be treated through medication. So more examples are your major depressive disorder, panic disorder, bipolar disorder, right? The pyramid is not a continuum. Mental health distress does not necessarily lead to mental health problem, and does not also lead to mental health illness. So it's not like a thing, right? So at a stage, you might be very healthy, and like I gave situations where we can be mentally distressed. However, moving from distress does not mean we have a mental problem, and does not also lead to mental disorder. But all of this are all of this in the component of the pyramid. We need to make sure that we do not define good mental health as never having a good mood, right? It's totally different from it's totally different of being in a bad mood. Good mental health includes a wide range of emotional states, and a person with a mental health does not lose their mental health. They only get treated on their mental health, right? So mental health literacy pyramids is a distinctive way to understand and act on our mental health. Thank you. I saw someone raise their hand. We will be going through that at the end of this session. So the interconnected relationship of mental health using the pyramid. So if we look at the screen, we will see at the bottom where it says there's no mental health distress, you have good thoughts, you have passive thoughts. However, for mental health distress, you are upset, you might be annoyed, you might be sad that you had an exam and you failed. However, there is some form of hope because you would be able to rewrite the exam in one way or the other. You feel disappointed, you feel disgusted. So that these are emotional states that causes distress. You feel blue, you're just not in the mood to do anything. You feel bitter towards someone, you feel angry, and so on and so forth, right? So mental problem that can be heartbreak, right? Have you been in a situation where someone broke your heart? Does not necessarily mean it has to be an opposite sex. It can also be a friend, right? Someone betrayed you and you're just gloomy. You're really, really, really down, right? You're sorrowful, you have a debt in the house, you're demoralized. That one happens at work where maybe you're in a toxic environment and it's just, you just hear people say, it's affecting my mental health. I just want to, I don't know what to do. I just want to do something about it. They have a mental health problem, right? Does not necessarily mean that it needs to be treated by medication. So you're grieving, you're mourning, you're in despair. So up the top of the pyramid now is the mental health illness, and that's where you have depression. So you might be sorrowful now, does not mean that you'll fall into depression. However, should you not be able to seek help, right, and the brain is so distorted that you're unable to live with the death of someone, it could lead to depression. But in most cases, it doesn't because you do not have a mental health disorder. You do not have depression, right? Okay, let's go to the next one. I think this has been duplicated. This is more of encouraging us to speak the right language, right? There's no, oh, this person is, now I see a lot of people just use depression. I'm depressed, I'm depressed, I'm depressed. You might just be distressed, right? You might just be stressed out. It's best for us to use the emotional feeling that we are in that situation. I'm confused, right? I'm distorted, or I'm not even in the mood, right? I'm panicking, right? So for some people in a toxic environment, there's some people, I've seen cases where some people go through panic attack just hearing that, oh, your boss is calling you, right? So things like that, that's what we can call that an emotional problem because that person is going through severe anxiety, right? So this just buttresses it generally. So if we look at the pyramid now, at the no distress is generally everything we're going through, living our everyday life, relationship, distress, common, normal, and expected response of our everyday stress, right? Everyday life. Mental health problem, largely events that affect us and have a huge impact on our resilience. Support network is needed and resources is needed for mental disorders. Clinical diagnosis is needed and required. However, we should know that we all have mental health. We all have a mental health. The difference is how healthy it is, right? We need to understand and have coping mechanisms that helps us through that. So now we'll be talking about the silent battles. As entrepreneurs and business owners, there are some struggles that we go through in our everyday life, right? Here we'll talk about the physiology of stress, right? It is the core of our functional response. It is designed to lead in our body to take action. I had mentioned it earlier, the flight or fight mode, right? When we're faced with so much threat, our body releases hormones, right? Adrenaline, cortisols that prepare us to either run away or handle it. So that's where the flight or fight mode comes. But as entrepreneurs, as business owners, these threats, right, have a way of telling on our emotional and physical body, right? So take, for instance, an entrepreneur that is sourcing for funds, right? And you have to do a business strategy, right? That stress hormones comes in because you don't know who the panelist will be, you don't know the questions that you will be asked. So those are those stresses that come up. However, you overcome it because you know what the end result will be, dollars coming into your account. So the psychological impact now is that stress doesn't just affect our body, right? It affects our psychology. It clouds our judgments. It reduces our creativity. In some cases, if you worked in a creative environment, you hear the creative juice. Oh, I'm not in the mood. My creative juice is not coming up. It's not pouring, right? It triggers our anxiety, and also may lead to depression, depending on what the situation is. So which also is detrimental to our decision making and affects the success of the our business, you would agree. So our social dynamics, right? Stress has a ripple effect on us as business owners, right? It affects how we handle and communicate with our team, how we promote our company's culture, right? Where you'll see some organizations that will say, oh, we do open door policy and all this. But when do you go and see your supervisor or your MD? It's like, oh, come back, come back, come back. Come back really never comes back, right? He's really busy. He might be busy. However, if we and you and I as business owners are to promote mental health within our organization, there's no coming back, right? Or even if you give a comeback, it should be that comeback. You don't need to postpone 2 or 3 or 4 times, right? So take, for instance, leaders that are short-tempered. Every little thing they flare up, right? It leads to a toxic environment, you would agree. And which means that there will be high turnover. And also with the life of the Gen Zs, right? You have them just complain. Now everybody has a point of view on LinkedIn and everybody goes what they are to speak through their learning situation. And you never know. They might want to call your organization, which leads to bad reputation of your organization. And then the fourth one is financial implication. There's a financial implication on each and every one of us, not just business owners, right? So that financial implication puts a whole lot of stress on us. It affects our decision making, our management skills. It could lead to mismanagement, right, of our resources, whether people or physical resources, even our ethical, our ethical being, right? Sometimes you lack integrity because you're of financial struggles, right? You would want to do everything just to get financially stable. So take, for instance, if I talked about seed funding, right? So imagine if you want to seek seed funding and there's been a lot of caveat and equity because you're pressured about financial implication. You don't do your due diligence, right? You don't do your assessment to see how viable the organization is and do your variation and all that. And you just give out so much equity. And when the business becomes successful, you would lose out, or you want to take a loan and you go for a very high percent without looking at it and you're unable to pay back. However, I would say that once you have all this, right, it's best that you look through what your financial capacity is and work with that, right? If you're a startup and you're unable to give out, you're able to seek funding somewhere, and you do all your due diligence, you do your operation, you do every valuation, you do all your valuation, you do everything. That's depending on how much you're asking for. The equity you need to give, you need to be very open and understand and seek advice when needed. So I know that there are other silent battles, but as we go on, please feel free to include some other silent battles that come to mind, right? Or we'll just continue. We can always look back at it once we are done with the presentation. So when there are many-sided nature of stress, right, as business owners, it is very good to proactively manage all those stressors that affect us and take mitigating steps to take steps to mitigate those things that impact on our health, whether personal or business wise. So now we will be looking at recognizing the signs, the warning signs of stress, right? So chronic fatigue is a clear sign of feeling physically and emotionally exhausted. And this is quite persistent. So fatigue just means you're just exhausted. You're not able to just when people say I'm drained, I feel drained. I just don't know. I just feel, the word we typically use is stress, but really you feel fatigued. You just cannot place how you feel, right? So as business owners who wake up feeling tired, you're finding it hard to get up from bed, even after you have slept for 12 hours. I don't know how people do it, but I know some people that sleep from 7 to 7. May God give people like us the enablement, because not everybody knows how to do that. So yes, so detachment, right? A growing sense of feeling detached from the business. So maybe you used to go to your office every day. Now you just go once a week, right? Because you want to avoid seeing people. This mostly happens when there's financial struggle, you would agree, where maybe in some cases, you're not able to fulfill your financial obligations and you just avoid rather than face what the situation is. So we have decreased performance. That one is self-explanatory. Your performance reduces, right? You procrastinate a lot, and then you miss deadlines, you schedule meetings, and so on and so forth. You don't respond to emails. You're just avoiding communication in general. Then you have health problem, right? Stress can manifest in different ways, right? Research has shown that the fundamental reason for some physical health challenges is mostly mental health related. So take, for instance, I've heard where some couples that were looking for the fruit of the womb, right? They were advised to take a step backwards from work because it was affecting their fertility, both as a male and the female, both the wife and male. So we do not know this, that stress can affect our physical health, but it does, right? Or you have situations where you constantly have migraine I've seen situations where people, oh, I'm having headache, I'm having constant headache, I'm having migraine. And I just tell them, you're feeling stressed. Your stress is telling on your body. You need to relax. You need to rest. Take time off, right? Or take tomorrow off. Sometimes because I'm in the HR field, so sometimes I give people free time off. Just I'm different that way because I am mentally mental health inclined, right? I'll just tell anybody that cares to know the next day and say, oh, they called in sick, right? Because they needed to take a time off. And now that um um remote work has helped, right? I'm not saying that everybody that says they're going to work remote is not doing anything, right? But yeah, the alternative is to work from home. You don't need to go through traffic every day, right? Take a break off from going into traffic. Then you have isolation. They say heavy lies the head that wears the crown. When you're at the top of the pyramid in organizations, right? There's a way that people just stay away from you, or you even stay away from people because now you're probably thinking, oh, my class is different from this person's class, and I do not want to associate with such a person, right? It affects us when in times of distress. So we also have being irritable. This happens to so many ladies, especially during that time of the month. A lot of us gets quite irritable, right? Even as entrepreneurs now, let me not use ladies, even as males, we also they also get irritable. Sometimes people make jokes and say, oh, is it the time of the month for you as well? Because it is just a way of life. There are times that you're just not feeling it. You're very impatient. You just can't take nonsense. So what on a normal day where somebody gives you a wishy-washy maybe essay or proposal, and you're like, no, but I've told you this is it. On a normal day that you would have been patient with the person, sometimes you just lash out and say, so sometimes they will say, I don't think, I think Madam or Oga woke up at the wrong side of the bed, right? I'm sure we all have heard that statement. So we have other factors like fear, resilience, persistent sadness, low mood, and so on and so forth. Sorry, we need to run because we've taken quite some time. So mitigating measures, cultivating to resilience. So acknowledging our vulnerability is the first step towards developing a robust way to recognize and accept our vulnerability, right? As business owners, we need to acknowledge our emotional responses, right? And better position them to on how to manage them. That's the coping way. So for instance, I've given an example of the fund round, right? Sometimes if you it doesn't pull through, you need to acknowledge and say, okay, you know what? I might be disappointed now, but I need to self-reflect. Why wasn't I picked? So that vulnerability, you can ask questions from people. You can even approach the panel to ask, oh, sorry, why wasn't I selected, right? So monitoring our workload. We all, as business owners, take everything to our head. We are the accountants, we are the this, we are the that. However, it has a toll on us, right? We need to delegate, ensure that we delegate what we tell. Delegation of responsibility is here. Reduce our workload, right? Reduce our regular things. So if you've been going to work sometimes 5 days, you can take one day remote and tell people, oh, I'm taking one day remote. You can do the hybrid. Also, channel this to your employees. I'm sure a lot of organizations now do hybrid or full remote, right? Establish boundaries. Establish boundaries. set a clear work-life boundary for yourself, both at home, professionally, and in your business, right? So that you give room for recuperation. Delegate responsibilities. Understand that you cannot do it all, right? If you have people around you, you have employees, you can delegate. However, to reduce the irritability that might occur, you can guide them through on how you want the work to be, and then get them to do it, right? Sometimes I used to, at the beginning of my leadership ways, I used to fall short of delegation. So prioritize your self-care. So what is your habit, your eating habits? Some people do not eat the whole day till they get home, people like us. Do regular exercises, mindful practice, make it a routine, right? Then seek support. No one is an island, right? Build a network of peers. Thank God for LinkedIn now. You have groups, you have mentors, you have advisors you can always go to. You have your friends and families that can always guide you through one or two things. So we will talk about the strategies for building mental health literacy. As business owners, right? We should seek opportunities to do research that has to do with mental health. Continuously read on mental health, read articles, read the UN publications. They always talk about mental health, even if you're not able to read, right? Listen to meditation exercise, listen to podcasts that talk about mental health, do researches. When last did you do an assessment that has to do with your well-being, right? So take, for instance, the wellness wheel that I mentioned. You can do it. Learn about where you short fall. Right? Continuous learning is very essential. It helps us to deepen our understanding as regards to mental health and stay informed on how we can help ourselves and help those around us, right? Help our spouses, help our neighbors. So we talk about the providing resources, right? So it helps us as business owners, especially for employee education, right? On what kind of resources do we need to provide for our employees, right? Maybe links to all those materials, training courses on mental health on LinkedIn or other platforms. There are upskill platforms that speak to this, and you can offer them access to employee assistance program, EAPs, right? A lot of HMOs have that included. So from time to time, encourage them to speak to someone, to use that platform, because we rarely do. You have some people celebrating that, oh, I've not been to the hospital, I've not done anything, but you're forgetting that you need to check on your health. You need to check on your mental well-being. So encourage them, foster a culture of learning, right? Of providing resources. So communication as well. In our communication, we should foster a culture of open communication, right? Where we can talk about our struggles, where we can talk about, I recall there was a situation where someone reached out to me on what they should do. Apparently somebody had lost their parents, a member of their nuclear family. I did not tell anyone, and instead just kept quiet. Nobody knew until he fell sick, and then they found out that, he had lost someone. So some people are so scared to even speak out within their organization. But in our communication, sometimes we should be able to tell people's countenance, to be able to see that, you're not your cheerful self today. What's wrong? Are you okay? What's wrong? I greeted you this morning. The way you answered is not the normal way you answered. So you should take note of those seemingly insignificant things. They go a long way to say, oh, are you okay, Eniola? Are you okay, Yemisi? You're not smiling today. Why? You say, oh, you have some situations where the person just starts narrating. Or some people just say, I'm okay. Are you sure? When you are persistent, then they open up to say, oh, I got a bad news yesterday, and sometimes they can cry, right? So that's fostering open communication in our materials, in giving feedbacks to our employees, in giving feedbacks even to ourselves when we go through things, right? It helps, right? We need to address the narrative of stigma. We need to break the stigma. You see on my on the background that says break the stigma. We need to break the stigma. And how can we break it? It is by open communication. Change the narrative and the misconception surrounding mental health in our environment, especially at work, right? Also collaborate with experts. A lot of people do not know that your HMOs, at least they 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 have a way of going to organizations to talk about any topic related to health. So now that May is the month for mental health, and also October, you can pick those calendar dates that relate to mental health and get them to come speak to the employees, speak to everybody, and including yourself, on mental health, right? So it is very good for us to collaborate through forms, through guidance, through experts, through subscription. Sometimes on LinkedIn, you have free subscriptions on mental health. Take, for instance, Mindsplace has a newsletter where we talk about mental health. We have social media platforms where we talk about mental health. And also, there are various organizations that talk about mental health, right? So we need to ensure that we have that those strategies inculcated to our workplace, right? Continuous learning, communication, education, changing the narratives. So let's quickly talk about the tools and techniques that we can use to effectively manage our mental health. We have the mindfulness and meditation, right? Taking a deep breath. What do you do when you're angry? What do you do when you want to react? So what I tell people is that they should take a deep breath, right? Count 1 to 4, or count 1 to 10, depending on the degree of your anger, right? Just calm down. Or I recently told someone that, look, someone sends you uh, not so good email. You don't have to respond immediately and lash back at that person. Just keep it somewhere, and when you're ready, you can respond. And you can also choose not to respond if it is not urgent, right? If you do not need to respond. So you need to do everything to reduce your stress level, right? So mindfulness meditation is a way of helping. And then you have these cognitive behavioral techniques, right? Is a way to shift your narrative from negative thought patterns to positive thought patterns, giving you the ability to transform your approach to stressful situation, right? So consider a case of where maybe, just like me, when we want to, now that we're working on launching our product, our platform, right? There's been a lot of setbacks. So one thing I always do is that, because I know what the purpose is, I always look forward to it. So you have to take that cognitive techniques to be able to think about the positive, think about the end result, and look for ways to channel it, right? So you have affirmation, just like what I do every Monday on my LinkedIn profile. I have affirmation where I talk about, oh, this week I refuse to be frustrated. So things like that. Every morning, every week, or every day, just speak to yourself, look at yourself, in the mirror and say, oh, today is going to be a great day. I choose to be happy. I choose to smile. In fact, one of the things that I do is I take a picture of myself. I smile a lot. So I take a picture of myself smiling. So if anybody just upsets me or I'm just irritable at some point, I go and look through myself and I just smile and see myself smile at me, right? So use techniques that help you. Physical exercise is not for everybody, but like I tell people, do what works for you. Have a routine. It's very good for us to release the hormones that help us, those natural hormones that help us relieve stressful situation. They are called endorphins, right? You release them. It helps us guide our mind and boost our level, right? So we also have time management techniques. Use your calendar. Use tools that help you manage your time, right? If as business owners, you need to get a PA, right, to reduce your frustration of other team members. If you need to hire a HR, hire. Reduce those things that consume your time. Then build a support system. That support system, your go-to people, the people on your corner, right? Who are the people on your corner? Your support group, your support system, your go-to as people, as business owner. It's good to always distress at the end of the day, right? Rather than jumping through 2 hours of traffic, right? Why don't you go to somewhere and chill sometimes, right? With friends, meet up with a friend that you've not seen in a long time. Professional counseling is also very important. Sometimes if we're unable to manage situation, when we get to the health problems side, right? We need professional counseling, right? Where we have a professional that we can speak to either through counseling or through therapy when we feel overwhelmed. These are ways for us to cope with our mental health. So professional help, what is the difference between therapists and psychiatrists, sorry. So we have different types of therapists, counseling psychotherapists. However, the two of them are interwoven, right? There are those who can help us to manage our emotions, behavior, mental health conditions, right? Maybe like if you're smoking, if you're angry, if you have some habits that you need to, right? Sometimes it's just very good to talk to therapy, and it makes a whole lot of difference. Whilst when you get to the top of the pyramid, remember the top of the pyramid where you have the mental illness, and you see that, look, this is a repeated situation, the way and mannerism which I am going through things, or which this employee, you've identified an employee is acting, is abnormal. It's not the normal way someone should act. It's best for you to recommend that person to see the doctor. So it's while seeing the doctor that they might be advised to see a therapist, right? So a therapist is more like a medical doctor who specializes in diagnosing and treating mental health disorder, mental health chronic challenges. We should all remember that, look, seeking professional help is not and has never been a sign of weakness. It is rather a sign of strength. So it is best for us to encourage people and not feel ashamed about seeking help. So we have already said this. Do not hesitate to speak to a professional. Just as we care about our hearts, so should we care about our mind. So in conclusion, we have talked about mental health literacy. We've talked about how we can manage our mental health, right? So our call to action today to you and I is that we should prioritize our health. We should spread awareness, and we should advocate for mental health, like literacy in our community, in our workplaces, in our schools, in our churches, in wherever we find ourselves. Unfortunately, I'm not sure I'll be able to do this mental health, mindfulness exercise. I don't know. It's more than an hour now, and I'm actually I have another commitment. But if we are interested, I don't mind us doing a quick one. We've waited this long. If yes, to put a comment, let me get 3 yeses. Should we do a mindfulness exercise or not before we close this session? Hi, Yamisi. Sorry, not Yamisi, Fumi. Do we have anybody say we should do?
Yes, yes, yes. You can go
We
ahead.
have a lot of yes.
Okay, all right. All right. I don't know where we are. Are we in the office or in? I hope no, there's nobody in the car. If you're in the car, please park. Right. It's a very good exercise for us to do. And like I had mentioned previously, we can start our day with mindfulness exercises. So find a very comfortable position, sorry. Right. Relax your body. Take a few moments to consciously relax your body. All right? So soften your facial muscles. Release every tension in your shoulders. I don't know if you can see me. Just release your shoulders. Just move your shoulders in a circular motion. Allow your body to settle with the composure that you have created. And now close your eyes. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale. Exhale. Tune into the way that you breathe. Feel the sensation of your breath going through your nostrils. You will notice a natural flow of how you breathe out. Air enters through your lungs and leaves your body. Now let us establish a rhythm. As you breathe in, consciously count 1, 2, 3, release. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Let go of every distraction, every sensation in your thoughts that arises. Just acknowledge the presence of now. And breathe in. Keep breathing in and keep breathing out. Now silently repeat the phrase as you breathe in. Say, I calm my body. And as you breathe out, I release worries. Breathe in, I calm my body. Breathe out, I release worries. Breathe in, I calm my body. Breathe out, I release worries. Breathe in, I calm my body. Breathe out, I release worries. Let's do that. Continue to do that. It will take just 1 minute so that we can close this session, because after this, we'll be having our question and answers. So keep breathing whilst your eyes are closed, whilst your body is relaxed. Breathe in, I calm my body. Breathe out, I release worry. I calm my body, I release worry. We have few more seconds. I calm my body, I release worry. All right, just a few more seconds. So when you're ready, bring your attention back to your surrounding by opening your eyes. Take just a moment to look through how you feel and your calm presence. And then let's come back to the session. All right, we have come to the end of our session today. So before I go, I would say in the journey of mental health literacy, knowledge becomes our compass, compassion becomes our guide, and resilience becomes our destination. Thank you.
I have to breathe out. Thank you so much. I actually calmed my body and then I released all the worries.
Oh, yes, calm your
A very awesome session, I must say. Yes, we're supposed to actually take questions right now, but due to time, I would say let's have our second facilitator take a session, and then we'll wrap up by the question from everybody. And I just hope you will be able to rejoin to take that question. I'll prompt you once we are getting to the question and answer session. But a very big thank you to you. You can see how many thank yous we have in the chat box. That is to tell you that a lot of people did not take this for granted. I was able to understand the pyramid of the stages of being conscious of our mental health and the stage at which we need to then seek help. And although a lot of questions have come in, even for those stages, but I'll keep those questions for us to answer them at the end of the session so that the second facilitator in person of our very own EMEC can take our own session as well and educate us more, because participants will agree with me that this is a very deep conversation, a very deep topic that we really need different perspective from. But then we need to thank you very much, Eniola. Thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge. Thank you for your time. We cannot really quantify that time that you've spent with us. We really appreciate you. And a lot of participants, if I keep reading it, we're going to take time, are saying a big thank you to you. Thank you very much. Like I said, I'll prompt you immediately. We are at the question and answer session. And so we go into talking about the same topic, this very diverse topic, this topic that keeps us all on our toes, mental health literacy, promoting a balanced lifestyle as a business owner and as a person, not just a business owner. And trust me, Eniola has done a lot of breakdown into this topic. She has spoken about the awareness of the pyramid of when it becomes an illness and a disorder, and then when it becomes a problem, what we need to do. She also touched on so many other areas that we do not even put into cognizance. And she educated us on the need for continuous learning. She gave us insight on not taking for granted the publications from UN, as it helps us to understand the things that we need as informations in this space. And she also took us through a meditation exercise, which was very, very, very good for me as a person, I must say, because it felt like I was really, really releasing my tensions and worries at the point of that exercise. And then while we enjoy that, I want us to quickly also enjoy what Yemisi Obitayo has for us today as well. And so we would be bringing in our next facilitator in person of Oluwayemisi Obitayo. Oluwayemisi Obitayo is armed with an MBA in marketing. She has demonstrated expertise in both startup and established organizations. She has showcased a proven track record of success in new market identification and strategic positioning for multi-million-dollar deals. In her current role as the vice president at Awabah, a tech startup based in Nigeria, Yemisi leads the market strategy and commercial operations with a focus on SaaS, financial inclusion, and revenue growth. With over 2 years of experience in her position, she has been instrumental in driving the company's success. Before Awabah, Yemisi has served as head of sales and business development at Alep Group Inc., where she honed her skills in business to business relationships and strategic partnership. Prior to that, she had a position of head of business growth at One Land African Limited and head of business development at Skybank, where she has developed and implemented plans for market capture and strategic growth. Yemisi's journey in the business world also includes a significant tenure as a regional sales manager at Mall for Africa, where she set strategic directions, led sales efforts, and significantly contributed to the company's revenue growth in Africa. With a career spanning various industries, including e-commerce, fintech, and SaaS, Yemisi has built a strong network of business partners. Her skills extend to M&A pipeline management, structuring B2B partnership, and ensuring strategic considerations are incorporated into frameworks. Yemisi's educational background includes an MBA in marketing from Obafemi Awolowo University, a bachelor degree in business administration and management from Leeds City University, and a diploma in accounting from Olabisi Onabanjo University. She actively participated in the Nigerian Model United Nations Society during her university days, representing the people of China. Known for her results-oriented and decisive leadership style, Yemisi Obitayo continues to make significant contribution to the business landscape, combining her skills, network, and strategic vision to drive success in the dynamic and demanding environment she operates in. One thing Yemisi did not add in this bio that I'm going to say is she is quite versatile when it comes to traveling. So she has this mindset from different countries, and a person of nature, learning different cultures and different diverse human relations. I'm sure she's the best person for today's topic. And so please join me in welcoming Oluwayemisi Obitayo. Kindly put it in the chat box while we welcome her. Yemisi, you're welcome. Please take the floor and educate us. But before you do that, I'd like to tell our participants across all the social media platforms that you have the the benefit of enjoying a good news that I put in the chat box earlier from our partner, because this session is in partnership with Awabah, who has done well to bring for us Eniola Bello this afternoon to take us through, and also our very own Vice President from Awabah. And so Awabah, at the end of the session, would be giving away some prizes to participant that has been very, very participative in this session. So please stay tuned, stay put, learn as much as you can, and contribute. Thank you very much. Yemisi, over to you. Thank you.
Hello, Fumi. Thank you very much for the introduction. I didn't feel like I was the one being introduced, but it's fine. Eniola, thank you very much for that extensive session. I mean, it was really insightful, and I learned a lot. I mean, it's really insightful. I learned a lot. Thank you. And again, thank you to LSCTF for this platform. Thank you for, I mean, giving Awabah the opportunity to be able to, I mean, it could have been any other organization, but then you choose Awabah. So we're really grateful on behalf of everyone at Awabah. We're really grateful for this opportunity. And thank you, Eniola, for obliging us on this session. I'll just be ditching my slide because of the timing, so that we can say, I want to give the audience opportunity to ask their questions. So, I mean, Eniola has taken care of the mental health part of our businesses. And of course, due to my own expertise, I'm just going to take a few points on how we can manage our business alongside our mental health. I mean, so I will just be using the layman language, just so we're able to understand and be able to better grasp what we're saying. So what is business? Business is, I mean, the day-to-day commercial activities of either buying or selling or trading that involves exchange of either physical legal tender or virtual legal tenders. I mean, and every one of us, I mean, almost every one of us here is involved in this. Either you're an employee of an organization, or you run an organization, or you own a business. You are into one form of trading. You're either trading your intellectual capacity for money or for some other form of resources. And also, as a trader or as a business person, you're rendering services or goods in exchange for money. And this can be very taxing for you to achieve. It's just not about, because I'm sure if I walk up to a few people here physically and say, please, can you lend me or give me 50,000 naira? I'm not sure. I'm not sure any one of us will be able to give that, right? But then if I will be giving you value for that 50,000 naira, you will be willing to give it out. And that's very, very daunting. How do you think of the services that I need? How do I know that these goods that I'm going to buy will sell? How do I know that this service that I'm going to be offering people will call for it? There will be requests for all of this, and all of this has a toll on your mental health. And I thank Eniola for shedding a lot of light on that. And some of the things I'm just going to be saying how we can manage our mental health in our businesses, how we can also manage our expectations as business owners to ensure that, we have a balanced lifestyle, our mental health is balanced, our business is balanced, and then we do not miss it. For example, I would say when we want to start out a business, we should start out a business of comfort. I know a lot of people will say that, oh, I have this a great idea in the world. I want to be the first person to do this. I want to be the first person to do that. No. Yes, it is good to be the great inventor, but then it is very, very good to start from the place of comfort. What is that thing that you can do seamlessly? What is that thing that you will do if either it fails or it scales through, you are not stressed because you can start it all over again. Right? So these are, when you want to start a business, think of comfort first. Don't think of, oh, this thing is difficult. I know there's a lot of motivational speakers who tell us to aspire to perspire, but then we should also put our mental health into consideration and even ask ourselves if those motivational speakers themselves are aspiring to perspire. you should also, I mean, when they are speaking to us, we should look into their own personal lifestyles and see how they are also doing in businesses before embarking on some of the teachings that they have given to us. So one of the first things that you should look out for is how comfortable this business is for you. How easy is it for you to start out? I mean, are the resources available? Won't it be stressed? Won't it have financial stress on my pockets? I mean, are the resources available? Who are the people that I can use and I can employ? Are they readily available? So those are the first things that we should consider before going into business. The second thing, are the resources available for it? I mean, what are the resources available to me that are in my own primary confines? Before even thinking about, oh yes, I mean, I think Eniola mentioned earlier on, and also for me, thank God for LSCTF, where they have courts where they give funds to businesses who are startup. And for me, I mean, Eniola also mentioned things about funds raising. So, I mean, what capacity do you have within your personal confines? What is my capacity? Am I starting out a business and then I want to go and rent a luxury building because I want to be perceived in some kind of way? It will eventually, it's inevitable that it will have a toll on your mental state. But then start from what you can afford. If I cannot afford an office and my sitting room is spacious enough, then I'll just put in a corporate seat in my office, in my dining table, and begin to run my office from there. And I can tell you for a fact that so many large organizations that are big today started from their sitting room. Some of them even started from their one-room apartment. I mean, after these sessions, we can go and search these stories of some of these successful entrepreneurs like Amazon and check where he started from. You will see that it started from his room, very, very small. And we know that it is not just multi-billion-dollar business. There's a multi-trillion-dollar business today. And it started from the confines of his sitting room. So, I mean, start with the immediate resources that you have, that you can control. And that way, you're able to build it up and ensure that it gets to the level that you want. The second thing is consistency. I mean, you have to be consistent in whatever you're doing. Now, for example, because of our time, I would have just listed some points on how to start a business and all. But then, because of our time, I will just say a few things. If what you're going to be doing today, if, for example, let's take, for example, you're starting a business today. If the first stage is for you to register a business, do not merge registering business, getting customers, getting suppliers, getting off-takers and everything together. Take it one step at a time so that you can better manage your health state. If today is for registering the business, register the business and perfect it. Then what is the next stage for me to do? The next stage is for me to get my suppliers. Go to that stage of suppliers. If the next stage is for you to get already existing off-takers for that service or product that you want to offer, let it be in stages. Do not mumble a lot of things together, because that way you are stressed. You miss a lot of things. And before you know it, most times the business crumble at startup stage. And we don't want that to happen, right? So take it one step at a time, have a list, and then have a timeline for achieving all of these things that you would like to achieve. And I must say that even if you miss that timeline or you miss the deadline that you have set for yourself, it's not enough to say, oh yeah, I have to meet this deadline. I have to work towards it, be dedicated, be resilient to it, and be determined and ensure that, oh, I have to, there's a saying that says that, if you set to aim at the sky, if you are going to fall from hitting the sky, you will not fall short at all. So if you set your target to do something, even if you are going to fall, you will not fall short. It will just be by the time. For me, I have in my room now, I have this list of achievements that I want to achieve this year. Guess what? I have about 20 to 30 items. I have barely ticked 3. Right. So also as business owners, we must, at the beginning of every year, just list out milestones that we want to achieve, and do not beat yourself up if you don't achieve those things. Do not beat yourself up if you don't achieve those things. Of course, take your time. And before you know it, I mean, another saying says slowly but steady, you will get there. Another thing is the issue of funds, the issue of finance. This is very critical in running business, and it can greatly affect our mental health, because we have people to even register a business is money, to run the organization is money, to float the business is money. A lot of things, 90% of the resources that we need in an organization is tied around money, it's tied around funds. Before we now begin to mention every other thing, ensure that the service or product that you are offering, ask yourself if, I mean, and aside asking, I know because some of us lie to ourselves. If I were a customer, will I buy my product? Ensure that the product that you are selling is what anybody can randomly pick up. Or the service that you are offering is distinguished and is special from what every other person is selling. Have your USP, that's your unique selling point from every other person. Even if it's a very small factor that is going to distinguish you, have it to know that, okay, when you want to market to people, even without marketing to people, when people see your product, they can already at a glance or even on one statement perceive your USP. This will help your mental state rather than pitching to so many customers and saying, come and buy, patronize me. A lot of advertisement and marketing resources will go into a product. So a product that is, I mean, easily understandable at a glance is an easy sell, rather than the product where we have to come and put up a slide and do presentations upon presentations, and you tell somebody, oh, I don't understand. I need you to come and explain the concept of this to me. So in having out our business scope, we must ensure that is a business that is easily understandable, and then we have our USPs uniquely marked out. And I mean, I digress there. Let me go back to the issue of funding. So before we go into business or whilst we are in business, we must ensure, I know that this is not easy. I mean, the advice is easily given out, but then at the implementation stage, it might be hard. Ensure that you have a running cost for the next year. So get what you, I mean, if, let me go into a little bit of practical about that. If, for example, I have 50,000 naira and I intend that at least this business should run for the next 1 year, I must ensure that all of my expenses will fall within that 50,000 naira, so that I will not be mentally stressed. Because by the time in the second, I know it's not easy and it's easily said than done. A lot of times we say, oh yes, I want to keep my spendings and expenses for these businesses between 50,000 naira, and then the demand comes for you to supply maybe 10 times your capacity. Who wouldn't want to take advantage of such opportunity? I doubt if there's anybody available to do that. And then you realize that this is stretching you beyond your capacity, and it tends to have, I mean, a mental toll on our health. So what then do you do? In such situations, just ensure that you can just take what you have the capacity to do. Take what you have the capacity to do. Plan yourself for the next 1 year. This is how we are going to spend this 50,000 naira. And then while you're planning how to spend that 50,000 naira, ensure that you are also planning how to turn that 50,000 naira to 200,000 naira, because of course every business is expected to grow. You don't expect that if this year's budget is 50,000 naira, next year's budget will be the same 50,000 naira. There's no growth there. But then it's not to say that there are no unique situations where the next year's budget will still be 50,000 naira. So all of this is just to ensure that you do not put unnecessary mental stress on yourself as a business owner. Because a lot of times when we tend to swallow and embody all of this stress, a lot of people that are working with us do not understand. All they want is their pay. You've employed 1 or 2 people to discharge their duties and for their expertise. They want to get paid. They do not care, but you must ensure, because at that point you are the alpha of the business, you are the omega of the business, and so you must ensure that your finances, all of the activities that are carried out stays within the capacity, stays within your financial capacity, and then you begin to plan for I mean, let's say the next 5 years, how do we ensure that we're able to scale and make enough resources for the next year that we're running into? And because of our time, trying to rush all of this. I'm so sorry for rushing. I'm so sorry for rushing. And finally, so that we can have the question and answer session, I guess that Eniola is still here. So finally, if at any point in time, the business is not doing well, as Elena mentioned something of significance earlier on. She said we should have, people around us who we can go to and make merry and make sure that we're in a state of, mental stability, right? So just go to, you could even approach a professional, like, the mental expert like Eniola. You could approach a professional, let them know this is what is happening and it's affecting my mental too. So at points where we are not really doing well in our businesses, that is the time to just pause and take a break. And realize that oftentimes where we'll take a break, we come back refreshed. You come back refreshed, there are new ideas. Then you can stand afar and take a glance at your business and see, oh, these are the things that I've done wrong. Then if I'm going to go into this again, I'm going to do it right this way. So it's okay to pause. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to look at the business and say, okay, if this fails, we will try again. I'm sure a lot of us know what is happening in the fintech space. A lot of fintechs are folded up. Right? And it's not the end of the world. And some of them, I tell you for a fact, they are still coming back. And some of them will come back with successful businesses that will make more impact and will be more profitable than the first businesses that they've lost. So, these are the few points that I have. Just because of time, I hope that, just as Eniola also requested, that we'll have another session at this and be able to take lots of questions from our audience. Thank you for your time, and I'm still available for questions. Thank you, everyone. Fumi, over to you. Thank you. Hello, Fumi, are you there? Can everyone hear me? Hello, Fumi.
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, Fumi, you are mute. So in case you
Oh, yes. I totally forgot that I was muted. Thank you very much, Yemisi. That was a very awesome practical advice from you. And it was a very straightforward one and insightful to add to all that we have learned so far from Eniola and yourself. Thank you so much. We all kind of go into business, but we forget how overwhelming it can be. And then we forget to really put some structures or focus to that business that we're building. So thank you so very much to yourself, to Awabah, and to Eniola. And then at this point, I think we would be going into the question and answer session. And we have a lot of questions that have come in, although I wrote some down because at the point I was out and I had to just quickly write the questions down. And one of the questions that came in is, I think this question would be for Eniola, and this person says, what do you do at the point where you discover that you're getting into depression? And is asking that, what do you do to get out of it? Are there any particular drugs or antidepressants that one can use, particularly if it is difficult to come out of it? I think we still have Eniola here. That question would be for her.
Hi. So the question is, what do you do when you think you're getting into depression? One. What else? Sorry.
Okay, so the question is that what do you do at the point where you notice that whatever is the trigger is the depression, and you're staying too long into it? Is there any advice on what to do to get out of it? And then are there any drugs or antidepressant drugs or advice on what to do to get out of the depression states?
So if you're in a depressive state, right, and you have noticed all those symptoms that I have earlier shared, and Yamisi has touched on, particularly for the financial literacy side of things, right? Um, so one of the first things you should do is number one, educate yourself on the symptoms, right? I talked about research, continuous learning, do research, and once you believe that or you accepted that, okay, these are the symptoms, just like how you have a cold, you know, one of the symptoms really is that you have itchy throat, right? So things like that, check through the symptoms, right? Reach out to someone if you're living with anybody and say, maybe I'm having fever. And next thing you just hear someone saying it's malaria. That's because you have reached out to someone. So reach out to someone and speak through those symptoms. It can be a friend, it can be a family member, right? Um, Thirdly, you need to look at what are the triggers, right? For you to be in a depressive mood, what is the reason? There is mostly a reason, like we mentioned, and the MSc buttressed on it. It's mostly financial. If it is financial, what can you do about it? Is it within your control? So take, for instance, if you're an employee and you're not working, the only hope you have is to apply, right? So you need to know what are the triggers, what is the reason behind this my depressive state, right? It could be, I don't know, loss of an individual. It could be anything. It could be just a normal struggle. So you need to know what your trigger is. It could just be just some people do not like being put in situations that are impromptu, right? So all these last minute don't come invitations, some people do not like it, right? So things like that, you need to know what it could be your routine. Is it something that is not giving you pleasure anymore? It could be even, I've been in a situation where I was like, you know what, this traffic every day going to work years ago, I cannot deal with it anymore, right? And then what I did was I checked through, this was like early state of my year, work days, right? And I was like, so I have gone through a situation where I had a surgery and I couldn't enter transport anymore. And I looked through my what's it called? My salary. And I was like, you know what? And luckily for me, that was when Uber really came to Nigeria and everything. And I was like, you know what? For my mental well-being, for me not to be depressed, right? I cannot climb bridge, overhead bridge, and I cannot run through the road. So I decided, you know what? How much will it cost me to enter Uber every day? So you need to do something about it, right? And that is me putting myself first and not my finances. Now, it might be difficult, but these are practices that we need to take a conscious effort and be intentional about, right? We're not going to go into mindfulness. Mindfulness helps. That what we did today really helps. That relaxation way and everything to just release all those stressful situations. They really do help. And if you see that you know what, this has got lingered on for too much, for too long, it's best to seek external help. External help because it's not going to be your family member, it's to be a professional, I talked about the therapist or the psychologist. Psychologist will be in chronic situation where depression, like we all know, depression leads to suicide, right? If you're having suicidal thoughts or you're self-harming, right, that's when you need a psychiatrist or a yes, to help through. But if not, you need a therapy, you need a counselor to just talk through the entire process. So medication, right? Lastly, medication is not your go-to because you don't do off-the-counter medicine for mental health. It has to be prescribed by a professional. So there's no, I will not give you names of medication to go for. No, I will not. But just understand what your stressors are and avoid self-isolation. Do not isolate yourself. Don't stay away from people. Because once when you're in a depressive mood, negative thoughts tend to come in, right? So you have negative thoughts that lead to self-harming yourself, right? And all those things, and something within your brain it's a chemical imbalance in the brain. So it's telling you stay away from people. People are frustrating you. You're irritable. It's more like a severe negative emotional state, right? So that would be my answer to your question. I hope that helps. You're muted for me if you're speaking.
Okay, yes, thank you so much. I believe that should help. The question came in from LinkedIn. So I'm hoping that that person that asked must have found that helpful. Okay, so to the question, to the next question. Before the next question, please note that we've launched the poll for this session. The poll are being launched in order for us to know how best to bring you more educative sessions that would definitely help business owners to scale their business with great information that you get on all of these sessions that we bring, and how best LSCTF as well can support your business more. So please take a time to just quickly attend to the poll, as there is the outcome of that poll would really help us to form more decisions. Thank you very much. Okay, having said that, there's a question from Christiana here that said, at what point can one say that his or mental health status is genetically inherited? And what can one do to prevent transferring same to their offspring? Yes.
Sorry, say that again. What point is?
At what point can one say that his or her mental health status is genetically inherited? And what can one do to prevent transferring that inheritance to their offspring?
Okay. Okay. Can you hear me? All right. Yes. Mental health can be influenced by genetics, right? So first of all, the first thing you need to do is to understand what your family background is. You will recall that I said that there's a likelihood that if one or more of your family, somebody in your family has a mental illness, looking at the pyramid, there is a likelihood that somebody else within the family, genetically now, the family tree could have mental health. However, there's a possibility that it's not going to be everyone, right? Because genes are different. There's a mixture of the spouse from each spouses. So some people will take from family A traits, and the other person will take from family B traits to family F, right? So you need to understand your family history, who within the family has gone through mental health challenges, mental illnesses, and then understand the risk. Educate yourself. We would recall that at every point I've been talking about education, doing research about that particular mental illness that you have figured out runs within the family, right? So once you see that, and we might not yet have it in Nigeria. One of the vision, one of the long-term goals for Nigeria, for Mindspace, is to have a center where we can test through blood and some other things. There are ways to test, but it's mostly in the international countries like the UK. There are ways that you can test if you fall risk, if you're at the risk of some mental health illnesses like bipolar and schizophrenia and some other conditions. So early intervention is really, really important, right? Once you test, you educate yourself, you seek how you can manage those situations, right? Do regular checkup and also talk to a professional, a health professional. So in that situation in abroad, right? Once you have been identified as being a falling risk of such an illness, right? Always advise you to see your specialist, either depending on how your first session goes. Your specialist can say, you know what, see me every 3 months, 6 months, or every year for us to see at what stage. But it might be mild, it might even just be a very tiny thing that they saw, but you're just predisposed to it, right? However, it's not severe if managed well. So early intervention, just like things like cancer, everything, it's also associated with mental health, right? And having supportive environment, you putting your places in groups, networks that have such illnesses. So you listen to how they've been able to overcome, manage situation, and also live a healthy habits, right? Healthy habits, whatever it takes. So your regular exercise, it's the same way for everything. Your health practitioner will tell you coping mechanisms for you to adopt, right? For you to reduce the risk so that it doesn't get chronic, right? And you just have to build a positive outlook on it, right? Build your resilience, your affirmation, your this, your that. Having positive, speaking to yourself positively also helps you. There's a research that has to do with mental health and affirmation as well. And to see that people that do all those self-help tools, right, reduce their disposition to mental health challenges, right? And you can always speak through it. Having to speak through it to reduce the stigma surrounding it is really, really helpful, because with that, you'll be able to draw strength from other people that have gone through it, that have overcome it, right? So I will end there because I can go on and on and on.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I was about saying that I think we're past time, but maybe these remaining 2 questions can just be answered in 1 minute each.
That's
We
fine.
have a question from someone that says, how do you stabilize the mental health of a pregnant lady who is scared of going through CS? What help can you provide?
Okay, I think I saw that earlier when I finished. Okay, so somebody that is scared to undergo CS, I think it's not just, I will not speak to CS alone, it's surgery, because I've had to counsel people that have been scared to undergo one form of surgery or the other, right? Just be there for them, right? Speak to them, let them know that, look, so to just do research, send out articles and everything that has to do with success stories around CS. Sometimes CS has saved people's lives, right? So success stories like that, sometimes it's even a good thing that she's been told whilst pregnant that she has to do CS. Some people were not told, and they try to go through the natural means until it was too late. So success stories like that really helps to build their knowledge about it, right? And if you have two or more people that have gone through CS, you can tell them to educate her and share their story directly, right? I'll give you an instance. There was just as I joined a particular company years ago, my early days, I had gone through a surgery that a senior management staff's wife was meant to go through. And I don't know why he came to meet me, and he came to meet me, and I shared my story, and he was like, "Oh wow, you've gone through it. Do you mind speaking to my wife?" And I spoke to it, and it helped, right? So all those things, don't try to encourage them to speak out, right? And share documents, share things that could help them, right? And help them change the narrative, that perception. Some people, it might be religious reasons that they feel they cannot do CS, right? And for the sake of the bundle of joy in her belly, right? You need to tell her that sometimes it is good. Let her see the positive side of things and not the negative side. You can tell her you will be there, be very supportive. Tell her you will be there during the post delivery session, because that then for most people you have the postpartum depression that comes through, because now you've been caught, you're having to take care of a newborn, and you're having to take care of yourself as well. It takes a toll on the mental health, right? However, you can always tell them to quickly get support before the time, so that during the postnatal time, there will be so much help and they will not be negatively overwhelmed by CS. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I believe that the answer to this question must have answered the question that I was about to ask, but the last question for today has to do with the person asking that we hear a lot about suicide and not depression. At the point when it is depression, people do not usually speak out. And so this person is asking that what are experts doing to ensure that people speak out before it becomes a suicidal mission, kind of. Thank you.
Okay, I've been asked about this. Um, so experts, really, just what we're doing, right? Instead of now mental health literacy, it can be suicidal symptoms, suicidal thoughts, right? Understanding what mental health is and how it leads to um, mental illnesses and how chronic it could develop. Like I mentioned earlier, that depression sometimes, when chronic and not addressed, right, it leads to suicidal thoughts, self-harm, and all that. So you need to just, the experts, we need to talk about it more. That's why I love the topic today, because that's what I have been doing for decades, advocating for mental health, right? Talking about all the negative things surrounding it, educating ourselves about mental illnesses, what type of mental illnesses, and how we can identify the signs. There are different types and the symptoms and signs that we could identify in different mental illnesses, like your schizophrenia, like your bipolar, like your OCD, right? So for suicidal thoughts, yes, sometimes, right? Some people, it is too late for us to help out, but there are signs that we need to watch out for. I had mentioned isolation and withdrawal. I mentioned it earlier when I was speaking through the presentation, and I mentioned it earlier in response to one of the questions. Do not isolate yourself, because this is our mind just trying to narrow us to itself, right? It's a chemical imbalance. It's like how you paint beautiful, colorful colors, right? It's just like how they taught us that blue plus yellow becomes green. That's how the chemicals within our brains, right, just have the wrong mixture, where we just feel, okay, we feel that sense of hopelessness, that sense of withdrawal, isolation, increased irritability, not being interested in anything. You will have people with suicidal thoughts saying, you know what, I'm just tired. I'm just tired. You just be wondering, what are you tired? I don't know. I'm just tired of everything. What exactly? They won't be able to pinpoint it. When we are in situations or hear situations like that, it is best to say, let them narrow it down. I had said we should, rather than being vague about our emotions, to say we're stressed, there's an emotion that we feel that we should identify. Once we're not able to narrow down the idea or identify such emotions, then there's a tendency now that the person might be moving towards suicidal thoughts or self-harm. So that's why I always say, reach out to people you have not reached out to in a long time. Look at people who talk most times, right? Sometimes this helps, right? So yes, sleeping patterns, ensuring that people sleep really helps as well.
So just reaching out, basically. I know this is a very passionate topic for you. I see the passion, but then I wish we could just keep extending time. We're actually way past time right now, but if we look at it from the perspective of the kind of peculiarity of this topic, we would not live here now. But then I think we can take questions offline. For anybody that would want to ask more questions, is there a way they can reach out to you? Would you want to leave your email address or contact details in the chat box so that people that would like to take up conversations outside this gathering can reach out to you? We would actually want you to do that for us. Thank you. But while you're at that, like I said at the beginning of the session, I said there's a good news for those that would stay put to the end and also contribute in the as the session goes on. And so we've been able to pick 5 people that have always contributed in not just this session today, but as well other sessions that we've always had at LSETF. They have always been very, very active. They're always coming up to learn on our platform. And so today is just a way for us to say thank you, courtesy of Awabah. If you hear me say your name, just please, I would want Yemisi to step. Yemisi will be talking to you after my mentioning your names, and then she will tell you what you would do, but then it would be taken offline. And so I have Christina Ebuta, I have Ginika Iziogo. Let me type those names so that they are able to see themselves. So Christina, I have Christina, and I have Ginika Eziogo. Yeah, Christina and Ginika Eziogo. I have Lukman Balogun, and I have Adegba Blessing, and I also have Faith Emele. Faith Emele, Adegba Blessing, Lukman Balogun, Ginika Iziogo, and Christina Ebuta. You would be receiving a form of gratification. Thank you for always being on the session. Thank you for joining today. Thank you for learning always from Awabah. And so, Yemisi, would you want to shed more light into that? Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for that, and congratulations to the winners. I just wanted to let you know what you've won. You've won free 1-month value bar subscription from our bar. And I mean, it's part of what we do at our bar. At our bar, we pride ourselves by saying that we engage in financial wellness of Africans' informal workforce and also the formal workforce, but then with a large consideration on the informal workforce. So what you have just won is called Value Bar, and Value Bar is a combination, is a bundle of life insurance, health insurance, accident cover, and pensions for 1 month. So you can go to any hospital of your choice. Your subscription cards will be given to you and get treated for any ailment. And after then, you could subscribe to this service for as low as 3,000 naira, and then you can get access to over 2,000 hospitals in Nigeria. You can get compensated in case of accidents, and you can have pension contribution as against retirement. So after your active work life, there is something to fall back to. And also we have life insurance, which after, the inevitable happens, the family and the beneficiaries can get substantial amount for in compensation. So, to get more of these services that we offer and more, information about this, I'm sure we'll put the link to our value bar page on the chat box so that you can get more information on that. And also, if you also would like to get some discounts for group subscriptions, like organizational subscriptions, we have a few discounts that we give out. So you can reach us to us at Awabah, support@awabah.ng. We'll put the mail address in the chat box also. All right, thank you, and congratulations one more time to the winners.
Thank you very much, Awabah. So this is more like a 1 month free subscription for Christiana Ebuta, Ginika Eziogo, Lukman Balogun, Adebayi B. Blessing, and Faith Emele. We would send over the process and the things that you need via your email addresses. You would be getting that from us. So thank you all very much. And at this point, we would say to you, well done. Thank you for always learning. And I would quickly put in the chat box the contact details of Eniola Bello. You can please reach out to her via LinkedIn, and you can send her emails. Always take cognizance of your mental health. We all have days when we always find ourselves in the box, but then we should never dwell in the box. Find a way to get out of that box. If it means for you to do something you love, go ahead and do what you love. Sometimes I find myself in the box genuinely. And when I find myself in the box, I'm a music lover and I also love to read. When I find myself in that space, I play music, I dance genuinely from the heart, just so that I do not dwell in that space. Do whatever you know would get you out of that space before it becomes detrimental to your health. Do not forget, health is wealth. Thank you all very much for joining today's session. We hope to have you again on our next session, which will be happening on the 22nd of this month. And it is actually going to be teaching us on marketing again, sales, and how to get good customer relationship with your customer. And so I dare you to please ensure that you follow LSETF on all social media platforms. I enjoin you to ensure that you follow us. You get informations that will help you. You get informations on when our next sessions will be and how you can register. We look forward to having you on all other sessions that we have, particularly on the 22nd, so you could learn more. Thank you very much. For all those that won, we would definitely send you details of your winning. Thank you all, and thank you to Eniola Bello. Thank you to Yemisi Obitayo. Do have a very wonderful day all, and enjoy your day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Leslie. Yeah.